Paul Scourin inviting you to make us your backup plan to better health. Find out more by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
From the Hart Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. The news is brought to you by Baum Chevy Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, as well as Connexus, offering fiber internet in Clinton. Click the icon on DeWittDailyNews.com to find out more. The city of Lincoln has given approval to its police department to promote one of its officers. Chief Joe Meister indicates that they are starting the process of promoting one of their officers to deputy chief, in hopes of splitting up the current responsibilities of Deputy Chief Matt Comstock into an administrative role and an operational role.
The department has always had one deputy chief, and that person fills the role of really what should be two. So for a long time, the police department has known that we needed a second deputy chief to help both the operations and the administrative side of the department operate at its fullest capability. I approached city council here recently and asked for the approval of a second deputy chief and was very thankful to get it. So what we'll have an operations deputy chief and an administrative deputy chief. The operations deputy chief will be responsible for oversight of the patrol and criminal investigations divisions. So that's our uniformed officers and our detectives. And the administrative deputy chief will oversee programs like community-based stuff, DARE, school resource, community service officers, our new deflection program that's going to start up hopefully in February of 2026, among other things. So I'm very excited about it. I think it's going to be a benefit to the department and to the city as a whole.
Chief Meister knows from experience how hard the job of deputy chief can be and is glad they finally have the opportunity to spread out the workload. He said much of the job of a deputy chief is to keep the department running internally.
Yeah, it's quite the job. I started in the administrative division as a deputy chief. So I spent a little over a year as a deputy chief, and I don't know how to juggle. So it was quite the task. Responsible for things like building and fleet maintenance, equipment maintenance, ordering, all kinds of things like that. Plus, like internal investigations and complaints, things that take a lot of time, all while trying to maintain, who needs new boots and what car needs to be fixed next. That'll come from within the department. So the department is staffed with 28 officers. We are fully staffed for the first time in 5 years. Typically, there were 4 positions in the criminal investigation division, so 4 detectives. We're going to move a detective we're going to take one of those positions away, which creates the administrative deputy.
The chief is grateful to be fully staffed for the first time in 5 years, as departments across the country struggle with staffing issues. Coming up shortly on this expanded newscast, Social Security highlights 2026 changes. School report card data from the Illinois State Board of Education has been the topic of discussion for state superintendents. Mary Vogt, Bement School Superintendent, indicates that all 3 of the district's buildings received the rating of commendable. This means that they fell into the largest category of schools, falling short of the top 10%, but grading higher than the bottom 6%. She notes they scored particularly high on high school science.
Absolutely. So our elementary, middle school, and high school all earned the commendable ratings. So we're happy with that. And then we also were very honored that our high school science scores are the highest proficiency in the area. So the News Gazette, they do a comparison of several schools in the area, and we have the highest science scores at our high school. I really feel like, along with it reflecting what our students experience at the high school, it is a reflection of the district as a whole, because kids don't just start as freshmen and then all of a sudden they have all of the science knowledge. So just what is provided to them from early elementary grades all the way through their experiences through middle school, then leading up to the science knowledge.
Vogt says the district has been consistent when it comes to scoring well on the yearly data. However, she indicates that chronic absenteeism has been an area of improvement, and feels for families who are frustrated with mixed messaging from districts when it comes to keeping sick students home this winter season.
We've been pretty consistent, just as far as those commendable or the excellent ratings. So since I have been here, there has not been a year where we have been targeted or need to turn in, extra steps that we're taking in order to bring our scores up. So
Sure.
Yeah, we have been consistent, just in the, so close to getting that top tier rating in our elementary, middle school, and high school. But across the board, commendable, I'll take it. Our percentage of students absent, it has improved. I do feel like I feel bad for families, because along with school districts saying to families, your child needs to come to school, we're also at this time of year saying, if your child is sick, keep them home. And if they have a fever, keep them home. And so there is no differentiation between a child who's out because of an extended illness and a child who just isn't coming to school. So I just feel bad for families and schools in that situation, because it's like we're talking out of both sides of our mouths. We want your child at school, but not if they're sick. And this time of year they're sick, so please keep them home.
Right.
So anyhow, just in specific regard to the report card, we are seeing improvements in that area.
Many superintendents have shared frustrations on how the school report card data represents schools. Vogt echoes that sentiment and states that due to their small population, they don't always receive information on every category.
If we don't have 20 students in a certain subcategory, then we don't even get the results. So that's the way the state report card is set up. And so there are some years where we don't have results, depending on how many students are in that graduating class that gets tested. So, it is difficult in general for school districts throughout the state, because right now I feel like the proficiency ratings are a moving target. So they were adjusted for this year's reports. They're being adjusted again for next year's reports. The designations are being adjusted for next year's reports. So it really, I think with the new designations, they are doing a good job of looking at how they can really break down student subgroups. But it could be just exactly like you're saying, a detriment, especially to us smaller districts, where one student could equal 5%, whereas in a larger district, you would have hundreds of students to equal that 5%. So is it difficult? Yes, it is, for a variety of reasons.
Keep up with all things Bement School District by visiting bement.k12.il.us or by finding them on Facebook. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Let's take a quick break with a word from our sponsors.
Experience the power of better connection with Connexus Fiber Internet. Connexus delivers ultra-fast, reliable speeds to keep you connected at the speed of life. Whether you're working from home, streaming your favorite shows, or gaming with your friends, Connexus has you covered. Say goodbye to buffering and dropped calls and say hello to fiber fast internet. Ready to upgrade your connection? Sign up today by clicking the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. Nothing connects us like Connexus.
Extra model year savings are available. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. Yes, we have 2025 Silverados with extra savings as well as a few other models now. See our 2026 Silverados in regular cabs, double cabs, and crew cabs in gas or diesel. We also have a good selection of the all-new redesigned Chevrolet Traverse. Chevrolet, together, let's drive. See all our inventory at bombchevybuick.com right from the start.
News time is 22 minutes after the top of the hour. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Social Security recently announced its annual cost of living adjustment, or COLA, increases for 2026. Additionally, they are also highlighting other threshold changes for the new year. Jack Myers with Social Security indicates that a maximum amount of earnings taxable by Social Security will increase from $176,100 in 2025 to $184,500 in 2026.
Yeah, there are other changes that typically occur with the new year. Some thresholds that change, some earnings limits that change. Some people may not be aware of this, but there is a certain point in your earnings or wages where you stop paying Social Security taxes. So, basically that's called the maximum. So if you're a high earning individual and you make over a certain amount, you stop paying into Social Security. So that threshold in 2025 is $176,100. That's going up to $184,500 in 2026.
The amount of income required to earn one credit will increase from $1,810 to $1,890 in 2026. According to Myers, this is gross wages or net earnings from self-employment, and you need 40 credits for retirement benefit eligibility.
Then there's also, a certain amount that you have to earn to get what we call a credit. So, in order to build eligibility for Social Security, you have to work and pay in. You earn up to 4 credits per year. That's the maximum. And you need 40 credits overall in your lifetime to qualify for a retirement benefit. In 2025, each $1,810 that's taxable by Social Security gets you a credit. That threshold is going up to $1,890 in 2026. Another figure that's probably a little bit more top of mind for people are kind of relate to earnings. So there are earnings limitations for Social Security benefits that are not based on disability. So if you're on retirement or spousal benefits or surviving spousal benefits, there are limits to how much you can earn if you are under your full retirement age for the entire calendar year of 2026. That limit's going to be $24,480 next year.
Turning full retirement age in 2026, there is no limit once you reach it. But for the months leading up to full retirement age, the limit will increase from $62,160 to $65,160. Myers adds that key earnings thresholds for those who receive Social Security disability benefits include the trial work period threshold, which is increasing from $1,160 per month to $1,210 per month.
Now, it is a little bit nuanced if you're going to be hitting full retirement age sometime in 2026. Basically, it's easy once you get there. Once you're at full retirement age, there's no limit. You can work and earn as much as you want and still collect Social Security, retirement, spouse, survivor benefits. But for the months leading up to full retirement age, there is going to be an earnings limit just like there is currently. The only difference is it's going up to $65,160 next year. Now, again, that's only if you're hitting your full retirement age next year. If you're under full retirement age, that limit's $24,480. And then there are some other thresholds like for disability benefits. We have earnings limits for disability benefits. One of the key things that we look at there is something we call substantial gainful activity. So if you're thinking about applying for disability, we can't consider you disabled under Social Security rules if you are working and earning above the substantial gainful activity threshold. And in 2025, that threshold is $1,620 per month. That's going up a little bit to $1,690 per month next year. So if you're thinking about applying, that's a significant figure to be aware of. But likewise, if you're already collecting Social Security disability benefits, you can continue to receive those if you work and make less than that $1,690 per month threshold.
SSI federal payment maximum amount is increasing from $967 per month to $994 per month, a 2.8% increase. Myers adds that the estimated average benefit amounts for January of 2026, before and after the 2.8% COLA for all retired workers, goes from $2,015 to $2,071.
Well, we talked about the 2.8% increase, but as that pertains to SSI, just to put it, into dollars and cents, right now the federal limit for SSI is $967 per month. That's going to go up to $994 per month with that 2.8% increase for 2026. And then, other things, just a couple of little notes. Average estimated benefits for next year, all retired workers on Social Security, after the 2.8, it'll be about 2,071. That's just kind of a rough average. And then for all disabled workers, that average benefit's going to be about 1,630. Of course, those are just averages, though. So each individual person's benefit is going to be directly tied to their earnings record when it comes to Social Security.
Sounds good. Very good. For more on these figures and the COLA information for 2026, visit ssa.gov. Taking a look at the CoCoRaHS and snowfall totals from over the weekend in Hayworth, we see 0.6 inches. In Bloomington, seeing as much as 0.96 inches on the right or southeast side of Bloomington. Going east over to Champaign, we see 0.69 inches, a half inch across much of Champaign and Urbana. Heading down towards Decatur on the northeast side, 0.65 inches of snow. Heading further west over to Springfield, 0.82 inches of snow on the west side of Springfield. Closer to the north side, still 0.78 inches of snow up there. So still close to 3/4 of an inch, or over 3/4 of an inch, rather. If we go up to Logan and Lincoln, 0.69 inches, 0.63 inches, so quite a bit of snow up there. Going all the way up north to Peoria, a little bit less, still around a half inch of snow, 0.64, 0.57, but as low as 0.42, 0.36 inches in areas of Peoria as well. If we head further down past Decatur, go down to Taylorville, 0.46 inches of snow as well. Get news anytime from your computer or your mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. A legendary actor and director is dead, along with his wife. The bodies of Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Singer Reiner, are found in their Brentwood home in Los Angeles. A mass shooting targeting people celebrating Hanukkah on Australia's Bondi Beach has left at least 15 people dead. Presidential condolences being offered to the victims of Saturday's deadly shooting. At Brown University, a manhunt goes on for a suspect. A Syrian security guard who attacked and killed 3 U.S. citizens, 2 soldiers and 1 civilian in Syria, had joined the internal security forces 2 months earlier, according to a Syrian official.
From the Hart Media Group Sports Desk, IL Sports Wire, and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local sports report. Milan Momcilovic scored 18 points to lead 4 players in double figures, and number 4 Iowa State Cyclones opened a season 11-0 for the 3rd time in program history with a 78-53 victory over the Eastern Illinois Panthers on Sunday. Blake Buchanan had 3 dunks while scoring all 14 of his points in the first half, and Joshua Jefferson had 11 points and 9 rebounds for the Cyclones. The Cyclones outscored Eastern Illinois 26-9 in the last 10 minutes of the first half to take control and held the 4th opponent under 60 points. They are now 23-0 against opponents from the Ohio Valley Conference. Iowa State has won 33 straight games and is 56-3 under coach TJ Otzelberger when holding an opponent under 60 points. Eastern Illinois played its second game against a top 5 opponent this season, losing 109-62 to then number 1 Purdue on November 28th. The Panthers used their 7th different starting lineup in 10 games because of a run of injuries. Cooper Jacoby and Zion Fruster scored 11 points each. EIU shot 46.7% in the first half, but was just 9 of 31 from the floor in the second. Iowa State was just 4 of 17 on threes, missing all 11 attempts in the second half. It was the Cyclones' worst three-point shooting game since they were 3 of 21 in a loss to Kansas in February. Eastern Illinois will host SIUE on Thursday. Jaquan Johnson had 19 points in Bradley's 86-53 win against North Central on Sunday. Johnson also added 6 steals for the Braves. Montana Wheeler scored 13 points while shooting 5 for 8. Alex Hubergest had 12 points and shot 3 for 10 and 5 from the free throw line. James Bullock led the Cardinals in scoring, finishing with 15 points. Tyler DeSilvio added 13 points for North Central. Bradley took the lead with 4 minutes and 46 seconds left in the first half and did not trail again, leading 46-29 at halftime. Caleb Williams threw 2 touchdown passes, and Chicago beat Cleveland 31-3 on Sunday in one of the coldest games ever at Soldier Field, even though the Cleveland Browns' Myles Garrett moved within a sack of the NFL's single-season record. The Bears, who are now 10-4, heated up early on a day when the temperature at kickoff was 8 degrees, and they hit double digits in wins for the first time since the 2018 NFC North Championship team went 12-4. They scored 2 first-quarter touchdowns and broke the game open with 2 more in the third. Garrett had 1.5 sacks, giving him 21.5 on the season and leaving him 1 shy of the record shared by New York Giants Hall of Famer Michael Strahan and Pittsburgh's TJ Watt. He got to Williams in the second quarter on a 3rd down at the Cleveland 8, and he and Shelby Harris took down the quarterback early in the 4th. A 4-time All-Pro, Garrett has at least 1 sack in 8 straight games and has 17.5 in that span. Williams shook off a string of shaky outings, finishing 17 of 28 for 242 yards. He completed fewer than 60% of his passes in each of the previous 6 games. DeAndre Swift ran for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. DJ Moore added 69 yards receiving and 2 scoring catches, with Roma Dunze missing his 2nd straight game because of a foot injury. Rookie Luther Burden caught 6 passes for 84 yards, including a 40-yarder. The Bears held Cleveland to 192 yards and turned 3 interceptions against Shedeur Sanders into 17 points. With 3 takeaways, they extended their league lead to 30. DeMarco Jackson had an interception deep in Cleveland territory in the 3rd. Jalen Johnson picked off a pass at the goal line with his back to the quarterback later in the game, and both plays led to touchdowns. Another one by C.J. Gardner-Johnson in the 4th set up a field goal, helping the Bears bounce back after having a 5-game win streak snapped last week. They also won their 5th straight home game since a season-opening loss to Minnesota. Sanders was 18 of 35 for 177 yards and 3 interceptions. He was sacked 5 times in his 4th start. The Browns announced the highly publicized 5th-round pick and son of Pro Football Hall of Famer Deion Sanders will be their starter for the rest of the season after passing for 364 yards and 3 touchdowns while also having a rushing score against Tennessee last week. The Browns will host Buffalo next Sunday. The Bears host Green Bay on Saturday night. The reigning NFL Defensive Player of the Year, Pat Surtain II, laid out for Jordan Love's deep throw to Christian Watson and secured his first interception of an injury-marred season, one that sparked the Broncos' playoff clinching come from behind 34-26 win on Sunday. Denver's second-round quarterback Bo Nix tied a career high with 4 touchdown passes, connecting with Michael Bandy, Cortland Sutton, Troy Franklin, and LaJordan Humphrey to lead the Broncos to their 11th consecutive victory, putting them at 12-2. The Broncos clinched a playoff berth and moved a game ahead of New England for the number 1 seed in the AFC. They stayed 2 games ahead of the Los Angeles Chargers in the AFC West. Green Bay lost star pass rusher Micah Parsons, who went down with a non-contact knee injury while chasing down Nix. Parsons, who had energized the green and gold ever since his stunning trade from Dallas a week before the season opener, is believed to have suffered a torn ACL in his left knee. Parsons' injury is a devastating blow to the 9-4-1 Packers, who fell a half game behind the NFC North leading Chicago Bears ahead of their Soldier Field showdown next week. The Packers also lost Watson to a chest injury after Surtain fell on him following his third quarter interception. Green Bay coach Matt LaFleur confirmed that Watson went to a hospital for tests. The Packers opened the second half with a touchdown drive to take a 23-14 lead. After Denver went 3 and out, the Packers went for the kill shot with a deep throw to Watson on first down, and Surtain came away with the ball, re-energizing both his sideline and the crowd. Riley Moss recorded his first interceptions of the season. The Broncos sacked Love 3 times and held the Packers to just 1 touchdown and 4 trips into the end zone while going 4 for 4 themselves. After scoring on their first drives, the Packers managed 1 field goal in their final half dozen possessions. The others ended in a pair of picks, 2 turnovers on downs, and a punt. Former Broncos kicker Brandon McManus kicked field goals of 56, 23, and 35 yards to help the Packers take a 16-14 halftime lead and added a 37-yarder in the fourth quarter that pulled Green Bay within 27-26 before the Broncos iced it on R.J. Harvey's 4-yard touchdown run. The Packers are at Chicago on Saturday. The Broncos will host Jacksonville on Sunday. Tommy Rittenhouse threw 2 of his 3 touchdown passes to Daniel Sobkowicz. Chris Taylor returned a kickoff 91 yards for a score. And unseeded Illinois State beat UC Davis 42-31 on Saturday in the quarterfinals of the FCS playoffs. Illinois State, who is now 11-4, which beat top-seeded and previously unbeaten North Dakota State 29-28 to advance to the quarterfinals, plays number 12 seed Villanova next Saturday. The Redbirds advanced to the semifinals for the 3rd time in program history, the first since 2014. Caden Pinnock hit Zach Jones for a 65-yard gain, but Shadell Nkuba, the second, punched out the ball and recovered the fumble. The Redbirds followed with an 11-play, 80-yard drive that culminated with Rittenhouse throwing a 17-yard touchdown pass to Sobkowicz that made it 35-17 with 2 minutes and 6 seconds left in the third quarter. Rittenhouse was 15 of 20 passing for 266 yards and threw an interception. Sobkowicz finished with 150 yards receiving, which included a 93-yard touchdown on 6 catches. Seth Glatz, who went into the game with 3 rushing touchdowns this season, ran for touchdowns of 14 and 58 yards in the second half. Victor Dawson had 148 yards rushing on 29 carries. Illinois State finished with a season-high 273 yards rushing. The Aggies drove the Redbirds before C.J. Richard Jr. intercepted a pass in the end zone with 9 minutes and 34 seconds remaining. Sobkowicz had 250 career receptions, tied with Tyrone Walker for the most in program history. The Aggies won the only previous matchup between the programs 42-10 in the second round of the 2024 FCS playoffs. Michael Collins Jr.'s 20 points helped Utah State defeat Illinois State 83-78 in college basketball action on Saturday. Collins shot 6 of 13 from the field, including 4 for 6 from three-point range, and went 4 for 6 from the foul line for the Aggies. Gary Clark scored 18 points while shooting 7 of 8 from the field and 4 for 4 from the line and added 8 rebounds. Mason Flaslev shot 6 for 13 from the field and 4 for 5 from the line to finish with 16 points. Ty Pence led the Redbirds, who are now 8-3 in scoring, finishing with 21 points and 2 steals. Landon Moore added 14 points for Illinois State. Johnny Kinziger had 13 points, 5 assists, and 4 steals. The Redbirds ended a 7-game winning streak with the loss. Utah State finished a 7-0 run in the second half to build a 14-point lead at 55-41 with 13 minutes and 31 seconds left in the half before finishing off the win. Get sports anytime from your computer or your mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is staff meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio forecast. Sunshine